because there's so many different flavors of English and accents, and it might be helpful for all of us to have the show captions. I think it's happening. Is it happening? Yeah, weird. It shouldn't appear there usually, but I guess you can move that window maybe for yourself. Yeah, mine doesn't move much. How about yours? I can't see a couple of people because of this window. Okay, let me see if I can remodel here in some way. Caption setting. Oh, I guess it could go smaller. Okay. Can you see the closed caption right now? No. Oh, this is just for me. Okay, I don't need that. Let me turn it off then. Oh, Zoom. This meeting. I think what needs to happen for all of us to see it, it is that someone needs to request it. See if you find a way to do it. You're welcome to, and if not, that's okay. We can. Okay.
I think we can all individually choose it of our own accord if we want it.
I think that what's happened in the past is that someone requests it and then it's allowed and then everybody can see it in a really actually in a way that works for the screen. But that's not happening for me right now and I can't even turn it off. Okay, just allow me another moment. Thank you for your patience. Oh, okay. I want to no, can't turn it off right now. Okay, I'm just gonna roll with that. Just gonna go with what's here. And I think I want to start with a little bit of movement, and then I want to introduce you to some people who are new here today. I think we have the full crew tonight, today. Um, all of us are here. Yes, good. Um, yeah, so a little movement. So let's begin standing, and Carmen and Michelle, you can also come along and move with us, please. I want to introduce us all to something. I don't know if it's just my term or maybe it's like, yeah, I don't own it. I don't can't claim ownership, but I've been using it for a long time and I call this the small dance. So we're going to practice the small dance together a little bit. And in the process, I will share a little more about what that is. And you will feel it in your bodies. All right, let's start here. So we're going to start without the music. And wherever you are standing, just noticing with your eyes closed whenever you feel comfortable enough and safe enough to close your eyes. Just really begin noticing the interior of your body, the interior of your body beneath the skin, the sensations of your life right now, pulsing here and there, throbbing, pulling, moisture, dampness, heat, sweat on the skin, just whatever you can detect on the body, especially inside the body. And just keep scanning for those sensations of aliveness. Checking in with your pelvis, maybe pelvic floor. What is the sensation there? The sensations there. There are usually many. And the more you feel and sense, the more you notice. So, what's the temperature like in your pelvis? And how about feel the temperature of your pelvis, but do not put a word to it in your mind. Just feel it. Just feel it deeper, more. And just shifting your attention maybe to the area of your heart, deep in your chest. What are the sensations of aliveness there? Maybe a little thump, thump, maybe some pulsing, maybe nothing, maybe just temperature or heaviness. And just drop the words and feel. Feel. Is it spacious in there or tight? If you could perceive a color from the heart space, from the chest cavity, what color comes to you first? Is it one color or many? Is it pulsing, vibrating, or is it dull and flat? And as you're noticing whatever other sensations you may be tracking throughout the interior of your body, just touch a few with your attention, right? Just on your own, in different parts of your own body. And now perceiving sensation overall, just the entire felt sense of the body overall as one field of a millions of sensations. Right? But just you're encompassing with your attention the entire field of your body, head to toe, overall, that moving, pulsing one, the oneness of your aliveness. And I can already see when I open my eyes, you don't have to, but I already see that many of the bodies here are making a little bit of movement. Even as you stand still, quote unquote, there's some very organic movement that your body is making. So without you efforting or trying to make that movement, could you please just simply notice what movement is already happening ever so gently and slightly in your body? And when you notice it, could you just allow it to happen a little more? Maybe it's in the hips, just swaying, or maybe your arms have been kind of rotating around your sides, or maybe your knees have been shifting weight, or maybe it's not even explicable or visible to the naked eye. It's deep within you, around your own center. Some detectable movement is happening. The small dance of your aliveness right now. The truth of your body right now. And I just invite you to allow it as like an artist, a little more, like an artist of the body, just a little more. Give it your artistic body, like maybe your chin will lift gently. Maybe your face will turn sideways. Maybe you will amplify the largeness of your movement, but stay so true to the small dance. The small dance. From sensations to movement. From inner impulse and instinct to small movement. Eyes closed, deeply within you. How deeply can you be present to this subtle movement? And just really allowing it to unfold on the body. Small dance, the small dance. Each movement originating from a deep sensation, feeling, felt sense. It's like learning to speak the truth of your body over and over again. Being patient, allowing your breath to participate fully. And if and as you are making movement, see if you can slow the movement down more, slow motion, to really feel and articulate yourself in slow motion. This doesn't mean tension. You don't have to tense up your body, but release your body into a slow motion. This could include self-touch. This could include the sound of your voice or breath becoming audible. This could include stretching in the way your body needs to stretch. Like a baby moving in the womb space, just let yourself go. Let yourself go in the continuity of your small dance. Trusting it, allowing it to capture your emotions and feelings and images. Patience and presence. Letting this small dance, slow motion, do exactly what your system needs. Let the movement do the work for you. You just following, just following. Letting your body unfold into slow motion shapes and gestures and expressions. If you are reaching for something, do it in slow motion. If you were squeezing your fists for whatever reason, do it deeply and in slow motion. Slow motion. Staying with it as the music fades, staying with it, staying with it. Even more aware now of your own rhythm, of your own music. May this movement be showing you something about what you need or how you're showing up or how you must show up in the world. Just keep noticing what this movement is doing for you. And this last minute here, see if as you move in the small dance, there may be some whispers, some words that come through your deep body and just get whispered, spoken to you, if they come. Yeah, staying with it just another little while. And then letting your body show you a stance, a posture, a shape in which it wants to pause and come to stillness, like a sculpture of your life right now in this moment. Coming to the full stillness. When you arrive to it, just enjoy the full stillness and notice the small dance inside of your stillness. You are still and you are dancing. Your blood is dancing, your breath, your life is dancing. Releasing the body to the breath, shaking off the wrists or the hips or whatever needs shaking off, and returning. Mhm. Yeah. So just one thing, I'm going to ask you to do one thing before we speak. In your journal, if you could give this small dance or this last posture a title, whichever feels more compelling, either the entire movement or this last posture, a title, what would it be? And you have 30 seconds. Write it down. So it has to be kind of playful and intuitive and quick. Okay. Mhm. If, well, let me see. I haven't been looking at the chat and I have not seen. All right. Yeah, I'm caught up on the chat. Thank you. All the private and the collective messages, I see them. Playlist. Yeah, I'll answer that question later. All right. So the small dance, a small dance and the slow motion movement for me and my work and in my practice with clients and groups and myself is one of the most efficient and fast, if that's what we need, but yeah, fast way of bringing someone into their body. I find it more effective than saying notice your breath in your body, or like, sure, breath and sound and touch, and like all of that is really effective too as primary somatic languages, which we will be learning together later as well. But this, the overall invitation to invite someone into their um, noticing of the overall aliveness, pulsing, throbbing, movement of blood and breath, popping of bones, right? Just the small undulation of the hips that is like indetectable if you're not paying attention, but right there when you pay attention, right? And then, oh, noticing that and taking that and going with that. That is one of my primary tools with one-on-one clients as well, because sometimes the person will be speaking about whatever their story is, right? And I will already be observing the small dance that's happening on their bodies. So they're, and yeah, I've been in that space in my life where I just, right? And I see their whole body rocking, or their hips gently, or the pelvis tilting, or the hand just doing this thing over and over again. And I don't find that just meaningless. I always work with that. I'm like, I hear you, right? And I'm noticing that as you say that, your hand is doing that. Could you do that a little more? Could you close your eyes and do it a little more? Could you close your eyes and just notice what your body's already doing and do it a little more? Oh my gosh, I have not started the recording. Okay. Starting the recording now. Um, and starting the notes for the companion. We will be sharing session notes with you, and um, it's important that you take your own notes. I think it's pretty primary that you do that. Oh, the recording is happening. Okay. All right. So we're going to come back to the small dance, I think. Actually, it just feels like I have to ask you, like, We're going to come back to this later. We're going to revisit. We're going to do a little bit more movement here. We're going to just tease it out a little more. But right now, I just want to hear from one or two people, just very, very briefly, please, because this is like a small window right now, about if anything just felt so like, wow, about like, about the small dance, right? Any like educational thing or learning thing or something that touched you or that feels new or that feels like it needs to be named. Briefly, a couple of people. Anybody? Yes, Petra.
Found it amazing how I started to softening, to go just into the softness, and there it started the movement, and the very small movement. It was beautiful to sense this, softness, tenderness.
Exactly. It's almost like there's no way to be present with the body unless you get tender and soft, which is about being in the body and noticing it. Yeah. Okay, one more. Nina M.
Yeah, I noticed I've been having like some itching in the armpit, and I just moved with it. And it just needed to go through my arms. And now it's gone. And I felt this really tenderness to, holding myself in the itching, just simply that. And it moved a lot. Thank you.
So glad that this was named. You will find again and again, both as you move for yourself and as you move other people, that is inevitably, like I don't want to say 100% because there's nothing for granted, but like most of the time, something that feels like a discomfort in the body, like a stagnation in the body, like an itching, a pain, like whatever it is that's a symptom in the body. Once you move with it in this conscious way and you let it kind of express, kind of move, kind of hand its weight over to other body parts and just move through the system, it will resolve itself if it's a smaller thing, or it will communicate about what is needed in order to evolve out of that discomfort. So it's really primary that you're naming that. We're doing a lot of learning here already. Good. I feel tempted to ask for more observations because, just let's tell me more. One more person maybe. Say something in the chat. Michelle is saying, I also noticed that a very sweet fascination with my feet. I found ways to move that normally would have made me feel discomfort. And instead, I got curious about that discomfort, and my body would give me what I needed, where my brain would tell me to move a particular way. Boom. Boom. That's it. Exactly. Oh, exactly. This is the training. We're training right now. This is beautiful. Okay, who has their hand up? Ermak.
Yeah, when you guided and said maybe there is a movement inside happening, and that you saw already there are some movements happening, our bodies. What happened in my body as I was observing was me just standing still, but like my breath was deepening and deepening and deepening so softly and making me like, it was just grounding me deeper and deeper. And it was just like a dance, as you said. It was like taking me deeper with every
Mm.
breath, just a little bit more. And
Okay, well,
um,
yeah, that is perfect. I think that is just so crystallized. Is there more there?
yeah, I think there was, but it's okay. Mm. Mm.
Okay. Thank you, Irmak. Thank you. And Nadia. Okay, Nadia, were you there raising your hand? Yeah.
I felt very quickly a very deep pain in my back and in my neck, and I didn't even realize I had this pain until you asked, and it was so deep.
Mhm.
And the shape I had, I felt I was a wounded bird. The wings were cut, and it was very painful. I was really screaming here from the pain. I found it surprising. I didn't feel this at all today.
Mm.
It
Mhm.
to talk to me in the small dance.
Mhm. Thank you, Nadia. This feels also like a piece I want to comment on. One of the first things I noticed when I first started working with women, and it just never has changed, is that when we start noticing our bodies, we experience and notice and feel a lot of pain. That is something that really shocked me in the beginning. And what I understood over time is that women have been so cut off from their bodies, like by and large, even if we are practicing embodiment in the social body, as you move in the world, it's really not an orientation to be present to your body, to be present to your embodied experience or needs, right? And so I feel, and I know this to be true, that when women start coming back deeper and deeper, as you say, the pain is so deep, but I didn't even know it was there until now. I'll just let it stand as that, as that is the training you're teaching us to. And Irmak too, with the breath becoming the dance. So deep. Thank you. I know we can spend probably the entire class here today. Okay, Andrea, yes, I didn't see your hand up. And we're gonna go to Andrea, and I think we're gonna switch gears a little bit after that.
For me, it was like from the stillness brings up a longing, and then with so much gentleness goes into a belonging. It's like a very tender way of coming home.
Mm.
And I know this practice of small dance, as you call it, from the Kashmir Shivaismus in yoga, and there we call it Tandava, and it's like a practice you do every day, sitting or standing. It's very similar.
Mm.
It's a female branch of yoga, a very female branch of yoga.
Thank you, Andrea. Interesting. Good to know that. Good to know that. Yeah. Small dance every day. How about that? Okay, so we're gonna come back to the small dance. We're gonna unfold into the movement a little more. I just wanted to take a moment to introduce you to the two people we didn't get a chance to meet yesterday. And I want to start with Carmen, who Erica. Yeah, Erica's here too. Yeah, I want to go to Carmen, who's one of our two support teachers here. And she's in Amsterdam. She's been She completed her last practitioner training, something like almost a couple of years ago now, and has been co-facilitating within the Flame Keepers community or membership and assisting in different ways, and has been a part of the Deep Body Collective for some time. And Carmen, I'm just going to let you briefly speak to whatever feels alive for you right now, just to say hello.
Thanks. Thanks, Stefana. My internet connection's a bit unstable. I hope you can hear me. Yeah, it's so wonderful to be with you. I was not present yesterday, but I watched the recording, and I come to this work. Several people mentioned this kind of sense of surprise that when we do this work, we go so deep. And every time I do it, I'm brought back to that sense of awe of what is possible when we really connect to these deeper layers of body, and to each other. And it's such an honor to be with all of you as we're collectively learning and building the field. And I'm really happy to support you. I kind of fell into this work first through my own excitement about the mythic woman in me, and then my own creative coaching practice evolved into more embodiment coaching. So now I work with mostly women, doing coaching for life questions, using art and movement and connection to nature. And so I look forward to connecting with all of you and learning about your genius and supporting you in that.
Thank you, Carmen. So good to have you on the team. Really lovely to have Carmen hold it down in Europe, and then Michelle holding it down in the US, and just having that balance between the pods and the support teachers. And Erica, who was not here yesterday, who is maybe even in this moment really jet-lagged after a trip to Asia. But yeah, Erica, I just wanted to invite you to just say hello and whatever you want to share with the group and feels alive for you right now.
Hi, everyone. I'm sorry I missed yesterday's session. I had just flown in from India after a 2-week, very packed work trip. And I was jet lagged, and my nap turned into a 4-hour sleep. But I'm very, very, very excited to be here. I attended the Mystic Woman encounter last year for the first time, and it was life-changing. But then I quickly got wrapped up in life. And it was only when I attended the second one a few weeks ago that I spoke to Stefana, and I really felt pulled back in, and I felt not pulled in, but I felt that I was where I needed to be. And the way I came across Stefana in the Deep Body Institute was it came in a time when I was very lost. And so it's very significant for me to be here with all of you. And I absolutely love seeing familiar faces, Carmen, Andrea, Nadia, Nina, Nicole. I love Stephanie. So many of you. It's such an honor to be here. It feels so warm, and thank you for letting me introduce myself.
Thank you, Erica. So good to have you here. And you are in Copenhagen.
Yes.
And did you want to say a little more about where you feel at home, or where you're from, or is Copenhagen enough for now?
Yes, no. So I was born in the U.S. in a state called South Carolina to a pair of Colombian immigrants. And so my heart is very Colombian. My blood is very Colombian. And I moved to Denmark 3 years ago for work, and this is now my temporary home.
Yeah.
And in a few years I'll be moving again. I don't know where that will be, but for now I'm here in Copenhagen.
Mhm. Thank you so much, Erica. It's really great to have you. And so many of you seem to be in Copenhagen. I think that's the only city where we have a concentration, like more than one person. So it's really, I'm excited for you potentially meeting up and creating. Oh, and we have, well, I don't know about the Netherlands. I don't think Nadia and Carmen in the same city, but okay. So, so my dears, it's just really incredible because I actually got even more, I got so excited yesterday that I miscounted that we actually are representing 5 different continents. We have people here from South America, North America, Africa, Asia, and Europe. So we're from 14 different countries and 5 continents, and it's just really a miracle that we're doing this together. I'm so excited to see where it all goes and where it takes us. And I want to spend a little bit of time before we go anywhere else, really setting the ground with our collective agreements and understandings of what this container requires from all of us and what we're committing to through this container. I feel that as facilitators or potential future facilitators, one of the most important things, and I've learned this the hard way, and some of you were there and know some of how I've learned about this, but I think that one of the most important things we have to do as facilitators is to set the environment and the ground for clarity, so that people know what this container is and what it isn't, what they can expect of it and should and what they should not, because those lines can get really blurry. And I've known, like, yeah. So like, as I start paying attention to the agreements I'm going to share with you, I think a lot more will become clear about like why I'm saying what I just said. So I think I'm going to experiment with I'm going to start a little with the smaller agreements. I'm going to just revisit some of the things I shared yesterday and just kind of bullet point them, outline them again quickly because we weren't all here. And I just want to make sure we're all on the same page. So boom, boom, boom. And then we're going to go into the deeper things. And I'm going to experiment with a new thing, which is, okay, I'm going to come to that in a moment. I'm going to share a note that I'm hoping that you can see. But just to kind of revisit the what I shared yesterday, an invitation and a kind of a heartfelt request for you to be here on time. Doors open 10 minutes ahead of time. And in terms of attendance, I really wanted to share this. I don't think I said this yesterday. We don't require that you attend 100% of the calls, but we definitely hope that you do, right? So it's not required. We understand that things happen, but we definitely, I definitely feel like the best way to do this is to be here live. If you miss one weekend, you have a whole month. Well, there's things in between, but that like kind of the weekend primary calls are definitely something I invite you to attend to the best of your ability. The other primary call that will happen, and most of the time it will be with me, the practicum, the practice call on a monthly Wednesday, which is not this coming Wednesday, but the first call is the following Wednesday. Those are really important too, because that's when you really get to, we're going to be practicing a lot of facilitation in here as well on weekends. But Wednesdays are going to be that like really playground for throwing you in there and just practicing one-on-one and the group and all of that, possibility for you to be in practice. So come to those calls. The pods, will be led by Carmen and Michelle, and we're going to create the schedule later today. And those are spaces that we've called optional, which means like you have some freedom to decide that, okay, maybe I can't do it this week or this month, or, like you decide, but obviously our deepest hope is that you go to as many of those as possible, because those will be the spaces where you have Q&A, where you really get to ask even more of your questions. You get to ask for more feedback on your facilitation or your projects or your concerns or thoughts about any of the material. And you get to practice more, and you get to experience a different kind of facilitation, right, than the one I offer, because we all have different voices and different ways, right? Okay, so that's the pods. And in the pods, you will be 8 people in each pod. So it will be your little home group. And that will be the smaller, even more intimate, not that it's not intimate here, but even more intimate space for you to really, just develop those connections and be with each other in that way. And then I mentioned the movement spaces that we're going to offer at least once or twice a month. With a couple of different facilitators also trained with us, who are going to be just putting on the calendar, and we're going to be sharing the Google Calendar for the training with you, so that all of you will be able to just see the live calendar, and you will be able to add it to your own, so that when we add movement spaces where you can go and drop in with a facilitator for 1 hour and just move your bodies and get to just kind of really work with your process and have some space to just move and be. You can see those on the calendar as they happen in the different time zones. We're going to offer different spaces by different facilitators. But back to attendance. So we allow that you miss up to 25, up to 30% really of the primary call time. It's really not ideal, but if you do end up having to miss that many calls or more of that, if you end up missing more than that, you will have to do some extra makeup work, and you will have to work specifically with me or Carmen and Michelle, and we're going to talk about it and give you assignments and really make sure that you're up to speed. Okay, so that's something that I want you to keep in mind. And I requested yesterday, if you cannot attend the call, please let us know. And this is like a real, again, like a very heartfelt request. Please don't just assume that we don't care, that we don't wonder where you are, that it doesn't matter. Please assume the opposite and let us know as early as possible ahead of time. Just email your support teacher and myself, and email is the best way to do it. But just as early as you know ahead of time, let us know you can be there on a certain call. It helps us also with planning and the number of people on the call, etc. Okay. And then, as I mentioned yesterday, we request that your video stays on for the entire duration of the call, meaning that once you enter the room, it's like a physical space. You just are in here, and then you stay with your video on. Obviously, if you really need to switch your video off for some reason, I trust you. There's no judgment. I know you know. And if you've chosen to switch your video off, I know that you have a really good reason, and you're going to be right back, right? So really, that's okay with us. And we mentioned that you need a space to clear space in your home, in your space where you're going to be, where when we get to movement, we can see your entire body or most of your entire body on camera. I requested to please have no eating on screen, and just kind of reaffirming that. If you need to snack, if you have unstable blood sugar, all of those things, we said, sure, feel free to snack quickly, but please make sure, please do your best to snack during break times. Okay, I'm not going to pause too much on these, but just, switch your phone off, practice that, right? It's like, what if we stay with our phones off for 3 hours? Amazing, right? And we mentioned yesterday devotion to presence. devotion to presence. When someone's speaking, when someone's moving, when we're witnessing, when we're whatever we're doing, that practice of presence in our own bodies with whatever is happening is really one of the primary practices for becoming a guide of anything. And so just mentioning that again. Okay, let me see. Once we decide on the pods and who your support teacher will be, you will have our both, like all of our the three teachers here, our phone numbers, and you are welcome to, when needed, when you have a question about material, about a project, about anything that feels related to the training, you can reach out to us on WhatsApp via a text, or if it's about the work really and your experience in it, or a kind of a specific question to your project, you can send us a voice note as well. And we can we're going to share more about that as we go along, but you will have access to us, and specifically each of you is very welcome to contact Michelle and Carmen with just kind of questions about material and the work and reading and whatever you had questions about. All right, and then email is also definitely a possibility, just to say that as well. We're going to have a Facebook community for the trainees. We're going to be linking you to it starting tomorrow and Tuesday. And we invite you to be as active as you want and as you can in that Facebook community, to get to know each other in that way as well. I will be sharing with you tomorrow the Deep Body Guidebook, which I almost want to share on my screen right now, but I'm just going to send it to you tomorrow, and I think it will be, I'm hoping, a really beautiful surprise for you, or I don't know if it's a surprise, but it's 72-page manual or a book on mastering embodiment and movement facilitation that I've written exclusively for our trainees. And I really hope that you enjoy it and you find so many jewels for your practice and your life in there. And I'm going to share a PDF format so that you can look through the content and click on things, and it can just like send you directly to a page. You can both print it out, and also you will have the PDF format so that you can navigate the content more easily. And please no sharing, like whatever, like distribution or sharing, or if you have to quote a little snippet, I would appreciate if you ask first, because there's a lot of things in there that I never share outside of training environment, and it just kind of feels very, very specific to this community. All right, I'm almost there. Sessions. So after the call, after the weekend, I believe tomorrow, but at the latest on Tuesday, we will be emailing you with a link to our training resource page, which will be this online space where you're going to find information and links and reminders about everything: the calendar, the Zoom access, the password, the contact information for the support teachers, the link to the Facebook community, the call recordings. All of that will be systemized there, so that if you forget anything about anything, you can just go to the resource page and orient yourself there. All right, so these are just the practicalities. And I think the last thing I want to say very quickly, in case you're wondering, a part of your practicum will be you meeting one-on-one with other people in this training for 5 hours each way, so a total of 10 hours between you and any 5 people, or between you and one person 5 times, but overall like 10 times, for exchanging peer embodied counseling sessions. And this will probably not start until a couple of months in, so I will share a lot more about it. But in case some of you are wondering, when is that going to happen? What does that even mean? because you've seen it on the curriculum. I will say more about that. And that always ends up being some of the most loved and the favorite stuff for people in this training. So something to look forward to. All right. I think in terms of logistics, that is what I've got. Any questions about any of this right now before I go to our collective agreements? Any questions about flow and time and calendar? Anything I haven't named that you've been curious about or wondering about? Yeah, okay. So I'm going to try and share this note, which the Zoom just, I think, launched this, and I don't know if it's something that's actually going to be possible, but Can you see the note I just shared? No. Okay. Let me see. I think I might be able to share it from right here. And okay, now, I think now I'm going to be able to share it. Yes. So let me know when it pops up and you can see it. Yeah, it should pop up as a chat window. Is it available? Okay, it's available. So I think I want to talk through these, and it's, like whatever you find helpful, maybe it's helpful for you to read as you listen. Maybe it's helpful for you to just listen to me for a moment, whatever works for you. I want to start with, and this is basically giving you an opportunity to stand behind these agreements together. If we want to negotiate some of these, we can just put a note somewhere, and we'll see how we can do that process. But I think that we can all maybe come and kind of stand behind these. We agree to respect each member in the community at large. We commit to each other's growth and well-being. We are here to lift each other up in our growth and soul work. We are not here to do any harm intentionally, clearly. We commit to doing no harm, at least intentionally. Sometimes it so happens that we humans hurt each other. Sometimes it's inevitable, but we commit to no harm, not intentionally, not to the best of our ability. Yeah. Can I maybe see like a show of hands for this one? Great, thank you. Good. And you're still going to be welcome to like put a note, like just maybe take a note if you need to question something later on. We commit to respecting the privacy of each member, which means that we do not speak outside of this village about the personal experience that someone else has moved with or shared with us. Pretty self-explanatory. Can we confirm about this? Are we in agreement? I'm not sure I see everybody, but like I want to make sure. And Irmak, you're in agreement with this as well. Great, thank you. We are responsible for our own experience. Yeah, this is like a deep one. This one goes deep. We are responsible for our own experience here, and we have power and agency over our experience. We have power and agency, and I really want you to hear this one. Just because I am guide, or because Carmen and Michelle are trauma specialists or coaches, or have more authority within this circle by being teachers, this does not mean that they have more power or agency about your experience than you do. Please hear this really well, right? So if you're noticing something that's not sitting well with you, that they're treating someone or saying something in a way that just doesn't sit well with you, you have power and agency to speak up, to bring it up. You have power and agency to decide what you want to do with it in a timely way, in a transparent way. It's really important, because sometimes we, in these environments, we're like, well, but they're teachers. They must be doing it right. you know? And it becomes about centralized power, and it's really dangerous. And we don't want that in here. Like, we don't need to be put on a pedestal, because I've experienced how dangerous that is, you know? Okay, I think you understand. You have to let us know if something doesn't feel good. And you have the responsibility to do that in a transparent and timely way. Because if you let it brew and sit with and fester and just kind of grow bigger inside you, and you start maybe speaking to other people on the training about it, but not to us, it just starts creating breaks in the field, and it's just not a healthy village anymore. So we have to address it with whoever is creating the dissonance in your experience. And that's the best way to do it. Does this make sense? Are we in agreement? We're supporting this. Good. Yeah, thank you. And I think this is basically the same thing. I kind of like bunched up a couple of things. It's the same thing. It's the next item here, responsible for tending to our inner experience and responding to it in a caring way, right? We care about ourselves. We care about what's happening in here. We don't count on somebody else to do that for us necessarily, because sometimes they won't, or they may not. So this may sometimes include that you take time out during practice to soothe and recenter yourself if you notice that overwhelming sensations or dysregulation or freeze are happening for you. Some things like, oh, the movement's taking me deep, like things are coming up, I'm agitated, I don't know, like I need time out. You don't need to tell us. Well, you know, if you can, please do in a chat or in a message. But most importantly, take care of yourself. I trust that if you take time out, you know what you're doing. Like, you don't need to explain yourself away, you know? But please do, if that feels relevant, reach out to one of the guides via the private chat here or WhatsApp message outside of the call time, or a call, even if it feels urgent, just call the person or myself and bring up what, like if something's just really coming up and you feel like we can help, text us, email us, talk to us. But especially if the movement is bringing up, just reach out privately to one of the guides, especially to the two supporting guides, and you will be tended to. You will go into a breakout room and someone's going to soothe you. Someone's going to help you out. Okay. Are we in agreement? Are we understanding this? This is, yeah, available as is possible. Good. Thank you. And I think that's pretty much everything. I'm seeing a sentence in here that I really like, which I didn't speak out, so I want to say it again. It belongs in there somewhere. We commit to being transparent and honest about our experience with others and the group and with the teachers, and we acknowledge our power of personal choice and decision within the group. Yeah, it just feels important to like say it in as many words as possible, because yeah, like, and I encourage you to create these kind of parameters in your spaces that you end up facilitating, especially in group environments. Decentralized power is so important to name. Just name it with your people. Say, I am the teacher. I may look like the leader and the expert, and that's true to an extent. And all of us have power and agency and voice. And that's basically immediately creating safety for your people. It's creating a village more than a hierarchy, right? So just, okay, I think you all get it. All right. And if you feel like there's an agreement that you want to request that we have, feel free to jot down a note for yourself about it. It doesn't need to happen immediately. You can offer it in the chat later. We will consider it in the right window of time, and we can add it to our list of agreements and bring it up with the group in the right window of time. Yeah. Okay. Is there anything that you want to kind of echo, or just like maybe like if if you like just have something crystallized that needs to be named very briefly or ask about something. Okay. Well, I feel really good about having set these agreements together and maybe just unmuting together. All of you just kind of coming unmuted and I don't know, taking a breath together, saying a yes or saying your name or exhaling or whatever you need. But I just would love to hear all of our voices.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Mhm. Thank you. We're going to take a 5-minute break. And before we do, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in the chat, or maybe I can even, now that I have the brilliant new knowledge about how to share notes in the Zoom chat, I can maybe share another note. Yes, so I'm going to share with you, perfect, the two pod, the two time zones for the pods. I ask you to look at them and to share with me in the chat privately, not with the whole group, just message me privately in the chat before the end of the break or as we come back from the break about if only with this piece of information, only if you cannot do either of these times. Okay, either of these times. And I'm going to share it now so you can see it. Share to the meeting. Great. So just to say a little more, for those of you in the US, I think there's no, you don't even have to look at the second one because that's in the middle of the night in the US. Unless maybe for you, Mouse, it works to be up at 6:30 in the morning because you're on Eastern time. But I think for those of you in the US, pod 1 is the kind of the only option. And then for the rest of you, you can see those times. So we're going to take a 5-minute break. And if one or some of you cannot make neither of these two times, please message me about it. Okay. If you can do at least one of these times, actually, no, let's do this a little differently. Sorry. Okay. So beyond those of you in the US, because I consider those of you in the US just belonging to pod 1, but the rest of you, let me know if there's one of these time zones that you cannot do. If you can do both, I don't need you to tell me anything. If there's one of these that you cannot do, message me privately and tell me I can't do the Thursdays or I can't do the Wednesdays. Does this make sense? Should I say it again? Okay, I'll say it again. For those of you outside of the US, look at these two times. These will be happening once a month only. And if you can do one of these, like you don't have to do both. You will be doing one or the other, right? But I just want to know so that we put you in the right group. If those of you outside of the US cannot do one of those times, I need you to message me privately and say, I can't do Thursdays or I can't do either, right? But if you can do both, just don't say anything and we'll put you in one of the groups. Does this make sense? Also at the bottom of the screen. Oh, can you see the note? Is it possible to see the notes? Okay, I'm also going to put it in the chat just because there's just more.
We can also amend the note. So maybe we can also put like our name under pod 1 and pod 2.
So yeah, the groups are already formed. I have you all in groups, but that's why I need to, like, if someone cannot do one of these days, just let me know and I'll move it to a different group. If you can do these times in general, just don't message me in any way. But if there's a time that just never works for you, let me know and I will put you in an alternative group. All right, let's take a 5-minute break and I'll see you here 10 minutes before at like past 20 past.
Hannah,
20 past. Yes.
it's just a quick question. The pod 2, is it from 12:30 until what?
Thank you so much. I want to go back to a little bit of movement. And I think what we're going to do is you're going to go into your small dance a little bit, maybe revisit a little bit of the what's already moved here for you today and yesterday, just to see how it all begins to really kind of come together, but in the present moment. And I know, Erica, you weren't here, but just you will rely on whatever happens in this moment, right? Whatever shows up here and now. And once you kind of initiate yourself through your small dance, we're going to go into one-on-one rooms. You're going to be one-on-one with someone else. And I will send you there with more guidelines, but you're going to be witnessed for a few minutes and experience what that's like. And then we're going to come back and begin learning, kind of breaking it down a little bit and seeing what is actually happening here and just naming some of the things. But let's first experience, right? So I'm going to invite all of you to please stand, and Carmen and Michelle and myself will be just witnessing this movement. So the rest of you can begin standing. And I always invite the movers, both one-on-one clients and groups, to begin standing, not because I don't want to let them necessarily start lying down on the floor, they can, but just so they have the full range and possibility of movement. And sometimes in my first line of guidelines is the invitation to say, you may feel immediately drawn to collapse to the ground or to come to the floor, right? And to sit down or to lie down. So I give them that option, but I always have people stand up to begin. And this is just a little tip for those of you who want to include it in your own awareness as a facilitator. All right. So here we are, and I just would love to invite you again to feel into your small dance, closing your eyes when you feel like you're comfortable in the space around you, you're oriented, your feet are on the ground. And notice how the mind takes a while, like, oh, all of these things, we need to, like, all the settling that needs to happen. And that's okay. The settling, the quick movements, the scratching, all the things that the mind does. And then you drop into the body deeper. And then there's a little more spaciousness. And then you allow your breath deeper without effort. And you notice just the aliveness of this body. You are alive. How are you alive right now? How do you know your aliveness? What are the sensations of your aliveness? Noticing those most subtle first movements that are already happening in your body, so subtle, maybe not even perceivable by the witness, but you feel them. And go with them, go with them. So tender. And even if something feels not tender, but kind of forceful and you still go with the small bits of it. Tend to the small bits of it. Just allowing these movements to wake up even more of your whatever is alive in you. Touch it even more through these movements. Maybe something stirring in your womb, maybe your ovaries are tightened, maybe that pain in your shoulders want to be felt more and unfold in the body more. What needs unfolding here? So deeply physical. Your inner life and motion. It's probably happening already, but pay even more attention to whether you can harvest some feeling, some emotion, and through these movements, and articulate it, let it move as well. You don't need to name the emotion, just to let it happen on the body. So intimate with your inner life, just you and your life. It doesn't need to be meaningful, you know. It might be, but there's going to be many long moments when there isn't meaning or knowledge. So just staying deep with the body, feeling, sensing, moving, non-verbal intelligence. And because you are so deeply present with the physical and the sensual and the emotional, it's very likely that what is also opening up for you is the perceived, felt landscape around you. This invisible but oh so tangible landscape of your life that you can feel and smell and touch. Maybe some elements or visions of yesterday's practice are coming back maybe something completely new is happening, a landscape of your life right now. Maybe you're in the same space, but something is shifting a little bit. What is important now in this landscape? How does it feel to your feet, to your skin, to your senses? And maybe that more mythic role that you tapped yesterday, or one that comes to you now, more of a who am I in this moment of my life, in this landscape, more mythically, more archetypally, more universally. What is the shape of me here as a more of a mythic woman right now? Maybe I'm weaving something. Maybe I'm carrying a torch. Maybe I don't know yet, and I'm just moving and sensing and feeling, but inviting the mythic body to open up. Really feeling your erotic tissue, your connective tissue of your body opening into this world around you, into the world around you, into the landscape around you and within you. You are so here, so present, so alive. All layers of your body breathing open, emotional, sensual, physical. Even the mental body, even your thoughts are moving. Your perception, your intuition. And remember that tool you were given in practice yesterday? If you don't, let it go. If you didn't receive anything, let it go. Something now is being given. If you recall the tool, the gift that you received yesterday, it can come right back into your world now. Or you can receive something new. Or both can be true. What is a gift or a tool? Maybe even a symbol, an object, a plant. And just develop your relationship with it through your movement for a minute. Notice what it wants to do with you, for you, in your hands. your body. Just following, yes, for one last minute, where this gift wants to take you. What does it want to do through you, with you, for you? Staying with it even as the music fades, especially because the music fades. Finding the truth of these movements in your silence, in your inner music. And letting your body release to the breath and come to rest, just to restfulness. Resting, standing, or whatever your posture, but finding restfulness, pause. We're going to continue this exploration that you have started, but with a witness. You're going to be in your own space with one more person. And the only thing you will have to agree, not too many words, no explanations, just whoever volunteers to go first and the other volunteering to just be witness. The roles will switch later, but for now, one person will move and another person will witness. The mover will have 5 minutes for the movement. The witness will have their eyes open the entire time, witnessing the entire body of the person, not just the face. Hopefully you can see the entire body, witness the whole body. Both mics are unmuted so that you can really feel each other's breath in the room. Mics unmuted. The witness witnesses. You will see the witness eyes open. You will see a note popping up to say the time is up, and you will say thank you. So your mover knows to pause and come back. When the movement stops and the mover comes back, the mover will have 4 minutes to speak to the movement. 4 minutes to speak to the movement. So still the first person, the person moves, the person comes back, the person speaks to the movement. My invitation, try this on. We're going to be practicing it for a whole year, but start today. Speak in the present tense. When you are sharing about your movement that just happened 2 minutes ago, speak in the present tense. I begin here. I have my feet on the ground, but my arms want to shoot up, and I am carrying the heavy crown I was given, and it wants to pull me up. Right? Present tense, 4 minutes. When you are complete, your witness. Actually, let's do it really simple. It's a really simple structure today. We're gonna just leave it at that. That is all. 5 minutes of movement, 4 minutes of verbal sharing. With the verbal sharing, you can also move and keep moving, but also sharing whatever feels good to you. I know a lot of you can move and speak at the same time, so do that if it feels right. Right. So 5 minutes, 4 minutes for one person, and then the roles will simply switch. 5 minutes for the other mover, 4 minutes for their speaking, and then we're going to come back to the main room. Just remember that as a witness, keep an eye on the screen. When you see the time is up, just say thank you with a soft voice to your mover. Make sure you're unmuted, they can hear you, they come back.
I also
right.
want to suggest that if you don't want to see us pop into your room, that you hide non-video participants. And if you go, let's see, what is the easiest way to do that? Yeah, if you go to participants, and then you click on more. No, it doesn't have it there. Shoot, how did I do that in previous groups?
I think that
You
what
go
we're
to
going
view.
to do.
Go to view.
I just, I'm really wanting to have this vibe that we just woke up stay. So maybe we don't even have to come into the rooms. You just go and it's just the two of you and that's it. So we're not going to be popping in. Let's just create the rooms and it's just the two of you in there. And we, the support teachers, we're not going to be popping in. How about that? So we just kind of keep with that flow and then we can figure out the technicalities for the next one. All right. Okay, here we go. Here we are. Yeah, it's one of the very, very few times that we facilitators didn't start popping into the rooms and just witnessing with you, and we left you completely to your own privacy. So hopefully that felt right and nourishing. And yeah, so one blurb from anyone who has something, who has a blurb about being witnessed. How is that supportive of you? What does that do for you? Like, how does it take it to the next level for you? If it does. Yeah, Hane?
For me, it feels, it's like it gets more real in a way. When somebody sees me, it gets real. It's not just in my mind, my body, it's something real. Yeah.
Thank you. That's so real what you're naming. That is one of the major things about witnessing is that you receive this validation. It's like someone is witnessing the depth of what I'm experiencing, and therefore it's even more true, right? That added layer of embodied consciousness is amplified, right? And what about can we hear a blurb? I know there's so much that can be said, but in a nutshell, I think you've named it, Hane. And what about the role of being the witness? How is that contributing to your experience? Like, what do you love about being a witness? Do you love it? Why do you love it? Nadia.
For me, when I witness someone, I feel them so close without knowing who they are. And I feel always their beauty. For me, it's always just so beautiful.
Mm.
So,
Yeah, if you're
I
in
just see
agreement
beauty.
with, I was just going to propose that for those, like, if we're here on the call and if we're like in agreement with something we're hearing, feel free to always just kind of amplify. And that's like a way of like we're hearing each other, right? Yeah, yeah. Most of us agree with that, Nadia. Thank you. And Mouse. Mouse.
Yeah, I mean, probably same, different flavor of just feels like such a precious gift to be invited into deep space. It's like immediately probes all of the strange filters of language and ego and blocks. It's like direct real time, like, wow, here we are. Here we are.
Mhm.
Wow,
That's
like
it. Yes.
an honor, like such an honor to be invited into deep space. Yeah.
Mm. Thank you. And yeah, Erica, did you want to add to that?
Yes, I echoing what Nadia and Mouse just said, and also I feel a connection with that person and a deep sense of care for what that person is giving me.
Mm.
That is something so private and so intimate and so special that I feel like I have to, it's my responsibility and my duty and my care to watch it and to not just watch it, but also feel it and just kind of give back that energy to help that woman feel more what it is that she needs to receive.
Mhm.
It's amazing.
Witnessing is yes, 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 yes. Thank you. And Anna.
On the being witnessed, so it was different because it was one person that was looking at you full time. So it was different from before, like in group, where you almost like you close your eyes and it's like you're dancing by yourself. And so I noticed myself in the beginning that I was kind of on the way of like performing, and then I had to move myself back to back to myself, but then I had to almost like forget about the witness. So that was my first tentative.
Absolutely. So grateful you're naming that. I'm just going to amplify it. To become the kind of mover who is not performative and to invite clients into a space where movement is not performative. We're not trying to articulate something so that the other person gets it. We're just being so true to our own space that the other person gets it, right? That is super important. Thank you. And Nina.
Whether I'm witnessing or I'm being witnessed, the connection is so deep and instant. So that is something that really amazes me all the time, or every time that you're connected to that person.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Thank you all who named all of these like really powerful bits because, hopefully The AI companion is still taking notes. Yes, it is. Hopefully it summarizes all of this for us. But, you know, I encourage you to keep taking notes and just like, I know some of you, like, well, some of us learn best when we like bullet point things for ourselves or have like visual notes or whatever. But these are, everything people have been naming is basically a teaching on witnessing. And imagine, just begin imagining inviting clients, even in one-on-one work, but also in groups, to do witnessing with each other. We're going to be doing a lot more like of a deeper dive, and it, you know, there are a lot of different structures for witnessing. We experienced one of the simpler ones, just go in, move, and speak, and then shift roles. There's many that we might, you know, we're going to explore with. And we're going to explore a lot more parameters for how to set it up safely and how to set it up in a way that is really effective. But this is just kind of first dip, right? Did anyone have their first witnessing movement practice now? Was this a first for anybody here? Andrea, Anna, Josefina, yeah. Like, wait, I need to see who. Andrea, did you say that was your first? No. Andrea B, no. All right, well, that is really amazing that we have firsts here too, and so precious. Feels like a kind of a birthday to me. Okay, so, okay, people, so let's touch into this territory of, you know, and again, like I'm feeling like you're teaching the training as well, right? So I don't need to be the voice that says all the things. You're actually coming back with the experience of your body and reporting on all of the bullet points that I was going to teach on, right? So this is it. This is the training. And I just want to ask about, you know, like I do want to go into the deep body territory and map I told you about. So how in this work we think about the deep body, but you already, and just the 2 days we've been here together, few hours, you've had a chance to explore what the deep body is for you, right? Even on kind of at a first glance, or it's like, oh, like what might we, and like in this environment, there's never a right and a wrong answer. So like if you want to offer, like just trying to arrive to something, you're welcome to. And again, I just want to invite to like a brief kind of like a little pearl of an offer. As if you're still thinking through something, maybe it's not quite time yet to speak, but if you have something ready, then maybe let us know. But yeah, we began, I invited you just in this last movement to start with a small dance, right? So very physical, right? Very, very physical, very intimate. And then did you notice, like who here noticed that as you open the physical and the sensuous, kind of the sensual layers, the touch, the intimacy with yourself, the sensations inside, who here noticed that or experienced that opened their emotional body too more? Like the emotion was more available, whether it was longing or hope or any feeling. Did feelings open up more for anybody here? Yeah? Happens, huh? It really happens, right? And then through that, I mean, as we just open these layers, right? And then I'm like, oh, see a landscape around you through your body. Is that available to most of you? Who here could kind of touch and feel and experience a certain landscape within? Yeah? So maybe a couple of people maybe don't really have that available, or is that accurate for someone? Okay. Just curious, right? Uh-huh. Okay. And And in that, like, and then just kind of the imagination, the gift, the archetypal woman, right? These things, do they start waking up as well when invited and when the physical body is available to these yeah, Nicole, did you want to share? Oh yeah, you're like just saying yes. Or did you want to share? Okay. Mhm. Mouse, yeah. Did you want to share? Yeah, please do.
I wanted to share that yesterday, during our first sort of embodiment practice, that it was through the different layers of the physical and the sensational and the emotional and the mythological, it was like just emergent, sort of easy transition and very vivid. And then today, just going into that small dance space and that sort of like my body just like feel like I just got like sucked into this like sort of almost like tiny dimension. And so that was all that's all there was. And so it was like I could hear you talking about like open to the landscape. And I'm like, there's nothing, there's like all there is this like thing that's going on. And so it was, yeah, very, very different. Yeah.
Yeah. Beautiful. Thank you. Yeah. That's really valid, and it's important to say it always is a piece of the invitation here with this work that you can go and follow primarily your own experience. You can tune me out. And I think a lot of people do that. And I'm grateful that that happens because my guidance will work in the same moment that you're tuning me out. Someone else will be benefiting from what I'm saying, but then you come right back in whenever you want to hear whenever you're ready to hear the next piece of guidance. And that is entirely welcome, right? You just follow your own experience. And then when you hear something that intrigues you and that works in your body right now, then you take it on and you go with it. All right, so just looking at the time, I think I really want to begin kind of bringing in, and I think maybe Michelle or Carmen or both, if you could just make sure through the participants thing that all are muted, or maybe just people can mute themselves because I'm getting a little bit of interference and just want to be clear. Okay, so, yeah, I was muted because everybody yeah, but I'm good. Okay, thank you. So this moment always feels really special to me when I get to invite you into a worldview, a way of seeing that I believe is proven to be life-changing and groundbreaking for a lot of us already, but maybe not so consciously, right? Like it's been something, some of you who've been here for years, I heard you yesterday speak to like, wow, how many incredible life-changing workshops or moments I've had. And now I just want to name a little bit about like the structure of why this experience may be there. How does this depth of experience happen within 10 minutes and you're speaking to your soul? What happens here? Like, can we map it together? And what it really comes down to, or where it begins, is an understanding and a worldview of our bodies that is not about this linear stacking of chakras and vertical, physical, bone, skeleton structure, skin, organs functioning, the body that we call the body is what we call the body in the modern world. I am inviting you into a worldview and a way of seeing that sees the body as something much wider, greater, deeper, and including the invisible and the less visible dimension of the human psyche and the earthly psyche. And I really, really want to build up this education really from the ground up, by just inviting you to really consider, and like I'm going to do it in as many shades as possible today. And we're going to drop into each of these layers much more over the year, but I just kind of want to paint it in one go today. And hopefully I have enough time to do that. So stay with me, take notes. I'm going to be showing you images too. So hopefully we can stay really present with this. And I'm just so curious about what you think about this. So when you imagine a fetus growing in the mother's belly, the thing that really happens there is that we're connected through the belly button and the placenta. We all know that, right? And maybe there's better language for that. I know so there's professionals here, so hopefully I'm saying the right things. But the basic thing I want you to pay attention to in thinking about it is that how the fetus develops is basically as kind of a resonance from the mother's nourishment and signal. And so there's a physical growing of the fetus around this organismic center that basically provides nourishment and signal to the fetus, right? And so it kind of grows. It's almost like the way it's always portrayed anyway, is like like a spiral, like a coil, right? Around this, where this mother signal comes from, right? And then just kind of grows and receives the signals, the emotional, the psychological signals, the DNA signals of the mother, like the actual water and body and like fluids. And like, so there's so much exchange happening. And what that does is that the body grows informed by that signal, right? And so it's like, like in the very same way, I feel that even after the placenta is disconnected and we become grown humans into the world, we actually are like, there is a connection between not just still to the mother body, but to the earth body, to the kind of to the earth body, to the collective body, to the mother body, to the nourishment, to the organismic center that continues kind of being in touch with us in some way. We are a blueprint of how we first developed, right? The body developed as a coil linked up to where the signal came from. And I just want to invite you to think, like, I'm going to do this with an image, actually. Let's see if I can open this here. And then, okay. So, yeah, we can see this. Mm-hmm. It's kind of this, like, I'm just beginning to invite you, I guess, to consider, this kind of the body as a circle. The body is this kind of wider entity that developed in a spiral way by virtue of being forming around the placenta and through the signal of the mother, and just kind of, and then really beginning to encompass the mother's world, to include it, but also to kind of include DNA, epigenetics, information about ancestors, about this kind of less visible collective shared psyche through DNA, right? And through inherited psyche, right? And so there's this formation of like more of a circular body that begins happening, that kind of stays the same as we grow. And I just want to invite you to basically consider like the body as developing kind of in this spiral fashion, wider, rounder, including much like And the chakra system, actually, I'm going to stop the share for a moment. We're going to come back to it. Much like in the chakra system, right? It's like the chakra spin supposedly with all this universal intelligence. And I agree with that. And so just to think about like the body, this body, extending really to include the less visible reality of who we are, but the powerful reality of who we are. And so that including not just like, sure, the physical body, like organs, tissue, bone, muscle, tooth, hair, organ systems, right? All of that. Yes, gorgeous. But instead of just stopping there and calling that body, what if we call the body that also what moves, what opens up when the sensual body opens up? These layers of sensuous connectivity, the connective tissue popping out and linking up into the web of life, right? And just really drawing up on the intelligence of the library of the web. Does it begin to kind of land and make sense? It is a little mythopoetic, right? It doesn't like, it's not this like, oh, like linear science that can be proven and yes, this is what happens. But we're not here to practice that kind of science, right? I'm just suggesting a worldview in which like the emotional body and how it creates an auric field of either stagnation or exuberance, and how it connects to the emotional tonality of a forest or a sky or a friend, right? That to me is also body. I'm just beginning to invite you to like, just start thinking about all of these skins, as I call them, of the deep body. By the way, before I continue, I think this was like a pretty important image to share. So let's go back to that visual. In a very similar way, the rings of a tree, the tree grows in rings as well, developing by virtue of that signal coming from within, from the deep center, that just the soul of the world, the soul of the root, the soul of the person, the soul of the mother, right? Whatever the center is, this circular development, that pulsing intelligence that develops into the world. And it's not isolated to the physical outlines of the body. It actually extends to connect through the root, through the vibration of our tissue or the rings of the tree, right? So I'm inviting you to begin thinking about the body as a circle, as a spiral. And each of its layers, and again, I'm going to come back to this visual later, each of the layers of the deeper body being like one of the rings that when opened and contacted, begin showing us into a world that is deeper and greater and more mysterious and more ultimately feminine in its functioning, which means more right brain, more intangible, yet poetic and sensual and sexual and emotional and intuitive and instinctual. But it's felt right here through this physical body, right? So it is body. It is body. It's just not what we call body necessarily in this culture. So if I have to just kind of say it in one sentence, I'm inviting you to consider a worldview in which the body, or the deep body, as I call it, is the convergence of all of these ways of being connected and intelligent, knowledgeable. So the emotion, the physical way of being knowledgeable, which you touched many times just this weekend, the physical way of, oh, this pain I didn't know was here, all of a sudden, right here, informing me, informing my life. Oh, all of a sudden, an ancestor is sitting on my shoulders hurting me because I've forgotten that my archetypal body also needs acknowledgement or healing, right? So the physical body, yes, but opening physical body, opening the emotional realm. Oh, the longing now moves. And that, the emotional way of being intelligent, right? Emotional intelligence, so deep, and yet not fully and deeply honored in this culture, in our shared culture of the world. The sexual, sensual way of being intelligent. Yeah. I mean, this, like, I want to say a little bit about all of these layers of body, but I think maybe, I don't know if I'm doing this in the perfect way, but I'm trying to just give you a little bit of a visual as I speak that maybe it makes a little more sense or it kind of clicks in a different way. So like there's so many ways in which obviously, you know, there's the world, the fetus, the storm, the drop in water, like all of these repercussions, right? So from the deep physical organismic center of the body, there's a ripple of the physical, of the sensual, of the sexual. And it's this like the functioning of the system. The functioning of the system is like kind of moving in this way that is kind of this pulse of the system from the physical to the emotional and back, from the physical to the sensual and back. Like there's a rippling of intelligence through the whole system. I don't know if I'm in the right place, but I wanted to go back to this first. I think just this kind of visual of the body nestled much like a fetus into the mother earth, the mother world, right? Into its own organismic center and listening to all of the layers of intelligence, right? And as we open these layers, and I think I wanted to say like the physical, clearly, like we said, this organs, bones, like what we see, what is here, but it's also like the ancestor, right? The evolutionary thing. It's like the thing that's been keeping the record for millennia about what a body does, how it develops, how it thrives, how it heals a wound, right? Like we come with these, like the physical body in itself is like, whoa, it knows things that we never had to know in our personal like lives, right? The body comes knowledgeable, inheriting millennia of evolutionary wisdom, right? So the body, physical body, evolutionary was the wisdom keeper, record keeper, ancestor, right? Very like even that, it's almost enough, right? I mean, it is enough. And through that physical body, as we open the emotional body, right? Emotional body, then, you know, and I think we're going to work with each of these layers more, but maybe it's helpful to say that in the emotional body, what's really important is that we get to experience these universal human emotions that thousands before us have felt, like love, like anger, like impatience, like fear, like betrayal, like longing, like hope, right? And it's not just you. It's incredible that we all get to feel these things for years and years and years to come and to still come, right? So the emotional body in this very universal way is also incredibly intelligent. Where does it take us with all of that knowledge? You think only you have been betrayed or heartbroken? Oh, and then you connect to the heartbreak of the ancestors, of the many, many who walked on the land and heartbroken, right? So the emotional body just encompasses such an intelligence. And then we get to the sensual and sexual body, and ooh, right? The entryway is through our own anatomy, female or male or in between, you know, we have some in between anatomies clearly, but like the sensual sexual body, like I'm going to define it a lot more later on, but what I really want to say about it right now is that it's the body that holds some of the greatest wounding of the human psyche and experience, and therefore some of the greatest potential for healing and growth for the human psyche and experience. So the sexual body is just life force, right? Like raw desire, aliveness. What else? What else is it for you? The sexual body. What else is it for you? Just can you write it in the chat so we don't have to go into a lot of like, so we don't lose the thread. I want to kind of hold it together for another little bit. But put it in the chat. What is the sexual body for you? What else is here when we say sexual, sensual body? Definitely the connected erotic tissue, right? Like, I don't know if other people are using this. I began using it probably 10 years ago. Like just this phrase I started thinking about is like a way of experiencing our connective tissue, because it's all over our body, fascia, right? Like connective tissue. That, but from the perspective of how it opens to the world, not just to connect us to our own organs, but our own connective tissue opening out like antennas, like channels for communication. Because yes, the body can do that. And for me, the sensual body does that. Like our erotic connective tissue, when you're in your openness and link up with the web of life or with your lover or with the tree or the forest, you are in sensual communication, and therefore you're sensually intelligent. Let me see. Let me follow the chat a little bit here and see. Ooh, yeah. Primal, says Nadia, for the sensual body, right? And Nina says connection to spirit. Power. Is that sensual? Like, yeah, I think that's all sensual. Anna, you're saying the sensual body is also mental? Yeah, interesting. Okay. Yeah, wild and tender, Carmen says. Wild and tender. Life force, Andrea says. Mouse says surrender to divine life force. The surrender word in there, yeah, this opening, right? And life force, creative force of life. Good, amazing. I think for me, and I think it just really, this kind of brings it home for me when I think and work with the sensual body with people and with myself. There's a capacity on the sensual body for staying alive and experiencing not just pleasure, like our culture tries to tell us, that sensuality is pleasure and joy and goodness and sex. But in my experience, sensuality is the capacity to feel all of the pain, the ache, the heartbreak, the pleasure, the joy, all of it, and stay cutting edge, like sensuously experiencing that. For me, that kind of brings it home. Yeah, vulnerable, Nadia says, open, curious, enveloping. Erica, yeah, amazing. So just to move through I'm going to keep going with it because I'm looking at the time and I just want to make sure I want to touch on all of these things, and and then maybe we even have a little bit time to reflect and maybe even have some time for Q&A. Well, let's see. But when these are the most physical, right? Physical body, sensual body, because you can sense it, sensations, sensuality, like intimacy with the interior, right? And the emotional, it's kind of emotions are of the body because you can feel heartbreak in the body, you can feel tension in the body, all like emotions are of the body. So they're quite physical. So these layers of the body are pretty physical, pretty accessible by all human beings, right? And I have to name here, I don't know if Anna, you said it in that context, but I have not yet named the mental body. Hello, clearly, the cognitive body, as I prefer to call it, it's also here. Most often, it's not integrated with the rest of our physicality in our experience in this culture. Very often, it's not like it never happens, but most often, we humans are educated outside of our bodies, on top of our bodies, to put the cognitive body to be the manager top down, right? And so the cognitive body oftentimes is the mental body that feels like it's hovering around and above, but it's not integrated into the flesh. That is in my experience. I'm just creating a map for you. You don't have to agree with everything. You don't have to accept this is science. This is an open model. An open model. It's just a map for you to think on and to evolve in your own way, right? So, okay. So cognitive body. And I want to just name this layer of the cognitive body that is kind of a sub body to the cognitive body, but it's, I think of it as like the social body, the cultural body, right? So in our mental body, we have all of the things we have learned about what is appropriate, how it's appropriate to move as a body, how it's appropriate to sit on a bus as a woman. You're not going to sit like opening your legs wide, right, on the bus. You're not going to sit like this most likely because you grew up in this world. And you're going to cross your legs on the bus, especially if you're wearing a skirt. You're not going to go walking the street like this, right? Because it's not what we do. Everything we learned about what is socially acceptable and what is socially beautiful about our bodies, the non-aging, the non-aging, the pretty woman stuff, like all of the many, many things I can't even get to list all of them here. All of that is the social body. It really has such a powerful, powerful influence on us. We move in our social bodies most of the time. That's always like the presentation, at least, right? So the social body is incredibly powerful. The way we gesture, the way we compose our face, the way we kind of mask on, right? I'm not saying that we all wear a mask all the time, but you know, if you really, really get into the deep of it, like even when it's deeply unconscious, we compose our faces in a certain way for the world. Okay, so that's social body, which is a part of the mental body, right? For me, and you're welcome to move this model in your own way, right? It's like, oh, I can maybe rewrite this model. You're welcome to. So it's not a stuck thing that I'm teaching and it's like, this is how I invented it and that's the model. It's a kind of a method and a model of thinking that can be changed and evolved by everyone who's working with it. All right, so these are the layers we know more intimately: mental, physical, sensual, emotional. When I invite you to move every time here, what happens is I ask of you and I give you kind of more and more prompts and invitations and even tools to put these skins of the body that I just named, physical, emotional, and sensual, to the movement, to articulation, to push and tap and touch and bend and test the wall, right? So it's what they be like, these more physical layers of body start becoming kind of more, they become expressed, right? As you begin moving and stretching and moaning or changing your face, right? The expressive body comes in. And I like to think of the expressive body as this doorway between the more physical stuff. So these more physical skins that I keep naming: physical, mental, right? The emotional and the sensual. And then when we start expressing them, they start opening this other doorway into the less visible skins of the deep body. The perceptive body. I named them yesterday. I'm going to name them again. I'm going to keep naming them over and over. The perceptive body. I'm going to say something about it in a moment. The collective body, or another couple of words I use for the collective body, are archetypal or mythic body, right? Does it? Yeah. So let me just say a couple of things about these. The perceptive body, like you all experienced it here, or at least got an inkling of it, I'm sure, because it's still, these are not separate. This needs to be said, right? We can't say, oh, my physical body is over here, but right now I'm opening my perceptive body, right? It's one and the same. It's just like in the rings of the tree I showed you, or the envelope around the baby I showed you, right? Like it's the same body being like having different kind of skins and rings of intelligence that just one opens up and then the other opens up. They interlace, they communicate, and they open each other. But it's within the same body, it's within the same organism, right? So that's important to say. Okay. So as we open physical, emotional, sensual, and expressive, it's almost like the expressive body kind of comes into this theater of the self. Yes. And this, and as you were being witnessed, some of that came in even more. You're like, yes, I stand and I, right? And there's this theater of the psyche, of the deeper self. And something begins opening that is of the perceptive realms. The perceptive body, I also call it the intuitive or the witch body, I called it yesterday. That's like another phrase I coined for the specific skin of the body's experience, which is very instinctual, which like you close your eyes, right? You're no longer seeing what's around you, but within you, you begin to see so much. With the eyes of your body, you begin to see so much landscapes and visions and symbols and ancestors, and direct knowing comes to you. It's like, oh, I have a hunch, or I know this. Like right now, I'm standing in this landscape and I know what I need to do. You're suddenly positioned for a direct conversation with a web of life. And this is what the witch body is for me, the perceptive body, right? And it comes in images and metaphors and imagination and senses that you can smell and feel, but they're not right here. Did anyone experience this now or before, where you taste something that's not right here, or you smell something that's in your imagined landscape, but it's not right here? Has that happened to any of you? Hannah, and I saw Nina and a few of you, right? Yeah. So that happens to, and that is the perceptive body senses, right? And that really takes us into this even more, like, so the web opens even more. And here we are in kind of the mythic body, the collective body, where it's almost like the ancestors are speaking, the archetypal intelligence that's lived before us and in between us and continues to, it kind of becomes available. Does this make sense somehow, in some way? Yeah, good. Okay. Because like I'm seeing some baffled faces here and there. I'm like, oh, maybe I'm not explaining it right. But actually, okay, it's working. All right. So the archetypal body. And here's the last thing I'm going to say about it. And then, yeah, we just have 4 minutes, but let's see, like maybe there's going to be some reflections. So in the archetypal body, as we stand open, sensual, physical, emotional, skins communicating, we now have the access to the most archetypal of the human psyche, to how standing here today, I am again teacher or pioneer or immigrant or lover or mother, right? It's like I am like leaving this personal, contained to my own personal life and body experience, and I'm really venturing out to experience myself as someone deeply connected to the pulse of life, to the eternity of life, to the eternal human psyche and earthly psyche, right? And that is intelligence. That is to be knowledgeable in the archetypal way, in the collective way. So all of these layers I just discussed are skins of the deep body. And when moving and open together, exchanging intelligence between each other, they make the deep body in its entirety. So we might say that when all of these skins are open and communicating, we are in the experience of our deep body. And the deep body being that center, the soul embodied, that sends that signal towards the whole, and vice versa, receiving the signal from the whole. I'm going to say this now, like I know it's a lot of information and some of us have hit our maximum and it's okay. Like, and you may always revisit this recording at this part because more and more layers are going to keep landing. One thing I'm going to say right now, and this is going to be the last thing I'm going to say, is the deep body in its openness and open communication. All of these skins communicating and opening together, emotional, sensual, expressive, right? Like perceptive, archetypal. Are by definition an experience of wholeness and the opposite of trauma. If trauma is the freezing of some part of the psyche and some part of the body, like where the breath and the intelligence of the body does not move freely anymore, whether it's in the sensual layer, the emotional layer, wherever it is. And when the deep body is restored, that is the health and the wholeness of the human psyche and body in this model that we're thinking about. And I'm just going to flash an image to you and I'm done. Okay, just an image to solidify what I've been speaking about. Right? It's just a map, but these are all the keys you're seeing. These are just keys for understanding. And I'm actually not gonna do much explaining. You're going to have the visual. You're going to have the entire deep body guidebook if you want to dive into it deeper. Just wanted to share. Like I'd love, and I know we're at the time, and it's time to go. And just if we can spend another minute or two, like maybe just hearing from a couple of people, we really don't have time for more. And especially if you have not yet spoken today, maybe, but do have something to offer, like just a reflection, one word, one phrase. Some of you may offer that in the chat, but like, what has woken up in you as I've shared this map? Like, does it enliven you in any way? Is it a yes? Is it a Is it a wow? Is it a like a what is here? What do you want to reflect back to what I've been sharing? And we can close in that way. So some of you will be writing in the chat, but if you have something to offer, Andrea, yes, please.
I think I've just been experiencing truly the deep body layers today. And I start feeling it from the small dance. And when you say to really listen, what the sensation, I could feel that spiral. I could feel how my body, that was the way I wanted to move in this spiral. And now, because you mentioned it, my first drawing yesterday, it was with a spiral. What I felt, and this desire for expanding, and that's exactly how I still feel in this very present moment. I feel all this expansion. My heart is in my chest. Yeah,
Thank you.
like I'm finally understanding what's actually happening.
Beautiful. Thank you, Andrea. Yeah.
Thank
And I'm just going to go to Nicole, and I think we need to pause here. Then I'm going to read a little bit of the chat before we close the call. Nicole, yes.
Yeah, well, actually very similar. Yesterday, the gift that I received was a spiral. And just now you talking about all this, it just made me click that, oh, maybe the spiral, that what this is about, actually the opening up to all the layers. Because it was this feeling like kind of connecting in a way. And yeah, very similar to Andrea. And but also just the last thing you said, what really just stayed with me was that all the communication, the whole is the opposite of trauma. That, yeah, I find interesting.
Thank you. Yes. Yeah, I know there's so much to reflect and to consider together. And that is a beautiful place to disperse, almost like going out with that curiosity. Well, with all of that curiosity that you can now keep exploring, reading, moving in your movement practice. And I'll be seeing you not this coming Wednesday, but the following Wednesday. So we will dive right back in. And on that Wednesday, when we get together, we will have a chance to really, for you to begin really actually teasing some of these layers out in each other. So we're going to be starting, really, you're going to be diving into facilitation, and we're going to be in like full practice mode. So, and let me just say, if this is still kind of, just an intellectual model, it's very valid. You don't have to have like a, wow, this makes so much sense, or wow, this is amazing. Like, just really be where you are, accept where you are. Some of you are very new to the whole work, so it might be just like, So just be really patient. Feel free to ping us, Michelle and Carmen and myself, with any questions or thoughts over the next 10 days before we see you again. Your reading, I will just follow up with an email sending you your required reading for the next month. The guidebook, the resource page, all of that is coming in your email, and I appreciate you staying on the call for an extra 4 minutes. I was hoping to read through the chat, and I will, but not on the call, because I might actually find a way to send you the chat as well. Oh, Stefana, to the pause button. Yeah, Andrea, we're going to sort that out with you specifically. And Nina says, I called my small dance a spiral dance. Amazing. Wow. Andrea says, like my drawing, Andrea L says, my drawing yesterday was also a spiral. Wow. So the deep body has been making itself present in the collective before we even named it in this way. All right, loves. Mao says, I received the gift of a spiral yesterday as well. What? This is incredible. Amazing. So let's all unmute just to hear our breath and our and our thank yous or blesses yous or whatever you want to whisper, speak out all at the same time. Deep breath in.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. See you soon.